Hey, Dasha hackers. This is Arthur here again, and the topic of today's video is building your conversational app. So we're going to learn what types of files you'll be working with as you work with Dasha, and our main focus today, and how do you, so what files do you work with and how do you run the conversation? So I'm going to look at running the conversations through a telephone channel and through a web real-time chat channel. That's probably the one we'll pay the most attention to today. So without further ado, I've got this application open here, Dasha Roadrunner Web RTC. It's found in the Dasha GitHub repository, and I will, as always, link to the repository in the description to the video. So sorry, give me just a second. Let's see what we're looking at here. Um, what is a Dasha app? So to tell you about what a Dasha app is, I'm just going to show you this little diagram on the documentation website. So Dasha is a conversational AI platform as a service. And its sole purpose is to let you, the developer, to give you, the developer, the tools you need to create real human-like conversational AI applications. And these apps you can use whether through a telephone environment, like over a SIP trunk connection, or in a web environment over a web real-time chat connection. Or next year, we'll be rolling out Swift software development kit and the Kotlin software development kit so that you can use Dasha apps natively within your mobile applications to create like a conversational interface or what have you. So here is the Dasha platform architecture at a glance. So what we've got here is Dasha Studio, and that's exactly what we're looking at. Dasha Studio is where you create your conversation. And then the Dasha Software Development Kit, which abstracts the API, is also, you also work with it within this within your Visual Studio Code. Um, so that's the Dasha SDK gets imported into the into the Node.js file, which in turn launches your launches the conversation, launches your, I'm looking at the wrong index.js, launches your conversation, launches the um, launches your application to the Dasha cloud, where the conversation gets executed and all the AI as a service technologies get applied to the get all the AI as a service technologies apply to execute your conversation. So we'll talk about all of that in just a second. So that's the architecture. So now that we've gone over that, let's have a look at how it actually happens, how it happens. So you should watch the previous video if you haven't. In the previous video, I tell you all about installing Dasha Studio, Dasha command line interface, and launching your first conversation, cloning repositories and launching your first conversation. So now I've got this folder already open and we're looking at index.js. So we can start with this because that's kind of where it all starts. So uh, the index.js is obviously a JavaScript file, server-side JavaScript, and what you're doing here is you're basically using the Dasha software development kit to connect the contents of this folder, the /app folder, to the Dasha cloud. That's pretty much it. So in this particular case, we are also setting up an Express server, which runs the which basically runs as a server, serves up it serves up a web page from which you can actually like initiate a conversation with Dasha through WebRTC. So, the reason I decided to show you this app is not to confuse you, but to give you a set of tools that you could use to build your own web application. So you can literally clone this code, take, plug in the Dasha part, so plug in the Dasha function into your JavaScript app and create an application that's a fit for whatever product you're building, app you're building, and just package it all as a single application, if that is your server side is JavaScript, Node.js. All right, so that's index.js. And now we get to the actual Dasha app part, which is a few files really. So the first one we'll look at is the .dasha app file, and this is the file that sort of defines what your application is, what its name is, and where it connects with all of these other important things. So the first thing that we define is the dialog. So where is the dialog stored? The dialog is stored in main.dsl, Dasha scripting language file. So the Dasha scripting language file, .dsl, this is a language that we wrote, Dasha script. We created it, and it's basically a derivative of TypeScript. It's a domain-specific language, meaning that it's defined for specifically one purpose, and the purpose is creating human-like conversational applications. So we will look at this quite a bit further, but for now, if you kind of look at the structure of this language, so we're declaring some variables, context input variables, and we're declaring external functions, and then we are, we've got a node, sorry, the root node where we connect to an endpoint. Wait for a second, and then Dasha greets the user, asks how Dasha can help them. And then the next thing here is we've got a digression status. So the digression status gets activated on the condition that a message has a specific intent, and that intent is status. So how do we know that that intent has actually happened? If you look at Dasha app, we've got something specified for natural language understanding, and LU stands for natural language understanding. And the file is data.json for custom intents. So let's open that thing up and take a look at it. What is this? Data.json is where you create the data set. So did I tell you that you don't have to be a data scientist to work with Dasha? Well, I lied. Just kidding. I didn't. So you don't need to know a single thing about AI or machine learning, but you would need to put together a data set such as this. So here, as you can see, we've got so it's a very simple structure. Intents, which start with yes, so that's an intent, and includes, which are ways, so synonyms, which when identified signify this intent. Okay, now you provide a set of 6 to 10 such includes, and they train the neural network, but that doesn't mean that only whenever this word is identified this intent will be found. No, the neural network will find this intent in the variety of phrases that the user will actually use to signify this meaning. So here you can see we've got an intent called status, and it includes some of the following phrases. What's the status of my rocket application? What is the status of my application? I put an application in for an Acme rocket. What is its status? The types of things that a wily coyote might ask of his local Acme rocket shop when he's hunting for roadrunners. So, yeah. So let's look back at main.dsl. So when the condition of an intent status is identified, we go to this digression. And in this digression, Dasha says a text, let's confirm your identity. It seems you're logged in as Mr. Wile E. Coyote. Can you please confirm the answer to the secret question? What is your favorite fruit? So where do we go from here? Well, that's what we specify in the transition. Whenever we identify, whenever the neural network rather identifies that the message that the user has spoken back to Dasha contains the data fruit, we go to the node confirm. That's the node confirm. Now, what the hell does it mean contains data? Let's look back at data.json. So note, here we're looking at things called intents. These are very straightforward. So like all of these synonyms signify this intent. That's it. If you scroll down, you've got another section called entities. These are what we call named entities. And for example, here, named entities are what you use to collect like real data from the user when the user is talking to Dasha. So it can be names, place names, whatever. Fruit, as in this case. And here we've got an entity and it's named fruit, and its value is straw, for example, we're providing basically some values that the fruit might have, like strawberry, roadrunner, banana, plum, peach. And then we're providing synonyms for this value. Strawberry, strawberry, strawberry. We want all of these to signify strawberry. Now, if you scroll further down, we're providing some includes. So how this particular entity is used within the context of a phrase. For example, well, I do love my strawberry, or my favorite fruit is banana. So why do we do this? Well, we want to let the neural networks know where to look for the data, because we are calling this an open data set, which means that if we substitute any other fruit for strawberry or banana or plum, for example, I don't know, oranges, apples, apples here, oranges, mandarin oranges, they're going to get recognized because of their location. So once the message has been identified to contain some type of fruit, we go to the next node, confirm. Now here, what are we doing here? So this application, I actually built it as a way to demonstrate how you can call and interface with APIs from your Dasha apps, which I think is a great thing to look at. So look here. So Dasha script is a domain-specific language. It's designed for one thing and one thing only, and that is creating these human-like conversations. So it does not interface with APIs. So how do we get data to the app? How do we push data from the app? For that purpose, we created something that we call external functions. So if you scroll all the way up to the beginning of this file, you will see we've got external function declarations, and we've got two functions. One is confirm, the other is status. It's this one that we're interested in. So as you see here, the argument of the confirm function is a string, is a variable fruit, which is a string, or an argument fruit, which is a string, and this function returns a Boolean value. Let's go back to line 36. So node confirm. By the way, the structure of the nodes, I didn't talk about this, but it's very simple. So you've got like do, where you do things, and you've got transitions, where you transition. You might also have something called on exit, where you provide some instructions to be done on exit, and essentially you use the same syntax as you do for do section. So that would be like on exit, something like that. We're not using it in this app, so just wanted to tell you this. All right, so node confirm. What are we doing here? So first we're creating a variable, a local variable called fruit, and we're storing the value of the data which was gathered by Dasha from the previous response by the user where the data fruit was identified. Please note that the data collected by this function is stored as an array. So we want to only get the first value of that particular array, and to save it as variable fruit, because variable fruit is a string. Can't save an array in a string. So we save this value in the variable fruit, and then we create another variable called response, which is defined by the external function to which we pass this variable fruit as the argument. Remember, this function returns a Boolean value. Let's take a look at index.js. As I mentioned, external functions call back out to the JavaScript file, the Node.js JavaScript file, where within the function denoting Dasha, these external functions exist. Which is super cool because in this way you can do within your Dasha app literally everything that you can do with JavaScript, which is like pretty much everything these days, isn't it? So here's the external function confirm, and we're kind of console logging, making sure the collected fruit is such and such, and then we're calling an API. So using Axios to call an API. If you're using Axios, be sure that you've got it, first of all, that you're requiring it and that you've got it installed. So we are sending a post request and we're getting like a package of data back, JSON data. And so we're going to console log this data, and then we're going to take a specific data point, so favorite fruit, from that JSON that was returned to us, and we are going to log that again, and then we're going to compare the received fruit value, which is basically in this data here we've got stored. Here, I'll show you. So we've got a payload of data which contains information about our buddy Wile E. Coyote. So where he works, what his email address is, what his phone number is, where he lives, and what his favorite fruit is, which in this case is Roadrunner. So we compare the favorite fruit to the obtained fruit. And if it's equal, then we return true. If it's not, we return false. And what happens here? So if response is true, we say great, identity confirmed, let me check your status. And if it's false, we say sorry, identity not confirmed, let's try again, what's your favorite fruit? And check this out. So if we are, and we say we go to approved, right? So if we confirm, we go to the node approved. Sorry, by the way, when we say go to approved here, we're saying go to this transition, not to this node. So the node and the transition, the node is mentioned here, the transition's name is here, and these can be different. In this case, they're the same, but they can be different. So you should keep that in mind. So we go to node approved from this transition here. And if not, if it's false, then we ask what the favorite fruit is and we wait. And upon receiving message has data fruit, upon Dasha AI, the neural network identifying that the message carries the data of fruit, we go back to this node again to evaluate it. So if we're approved, we go to the node approved and we set status. So we want to return status, and we're using an external function for it to check what the status of the Wile E. Coyote application is, and that sends us back to index.js, where we sort of pull the data from the API again and check what the status is, and if it's approved, we say so, and ask, or when I say we, I mean Dasha, and then we ask anything else I can help you with today, and if the user says yes, we say how can I help you. If the user says no, we say goodbye then, and that's really it. We've got a couple of additional digressions here. So a digression called wait, which is like, hey, give me a second, hold on just a minute, something like that. A digression repeat. So what happens when the user says, please repeat what you have just said. So a couple of words about digressions. These are amazing tools, and you can use them for like a menu. For example, how can I help you today? Well, I'd like to check the status of my package, or can I place an order? or I got a delivery, but you delivered the wrong thing to me. And you can like list all of these things as digressions, like it's a menu. Or, and like this is the cool part, you can use this feature, this function of Dasha script to make your conversational apps human-like. So what I mean by that is, when I went for a walk today, the weather was really nice, but then it turned pretty bad all of a sudden. So what I did there is I just went on a digression that had nothing to do with what I was talking about. And that is something that people do, fortunately or un. So in order for Dasha to follow the sort of unpredictable pattern of human speech, you could use digressions. So you can use digressions to give your Dasha apps the ability to understand human unpredictability like we humans do. Um, so that's main DSL. We've gone over that. We've gone over data JSON. Something that we do not use in this particular app is Phrasemap.json. So something to pay attention to here is the speed parameter. So that's the speed with which your AI voice speaks. I usually set mine at 0.9, but the default value is 1. Um, what else is there? Well, let me just show you a different application, because there's a couple of features of Dasha script that I also want to demonstrate to you. All right, so let me see here. Okay, so for example, you can look at this one. That's the one we looked at in the previous video. All right, so check this out. Now we've got a lot more a lot more variables here. Really what I wanted to draw your attention to is this first line. Import common reactions all.dsl. So there's a library here called common reactions, and what it's used for is, for example, these types of things, like maybe you hit an answering machine when your Dasha app calls a user. Maybe the user asks if they're talking to a robot. Maybe Dasha doesn't hear anything and you want Dasha to ping the user. Maybe Dasha gets cussed out. What should it do? Maybe the user asks it to wait, or all of these other things. So you might not need these common reactions, but then again you might. So might as well just import the library and use it within your DSL. So that's something that that might make sense. So yeah, consider it. And another thing is, look here, we are not using, so here to say a phrase in this particular file, in the one we've been looking at, the Roadrunner application, we use the function say text. And then we just type out the text right here within the body of Dasha script DSL file. Here we're using a function say and then specifying the name of a phrase. Now, if you go to Phrasemap, you will see that there are phrases specified with this particular name, and there are macros with the phrase name down here. So if you decide to use a phrase map, there are benefits to it. The benefits are, for example, you can specify a different phrase for the second time that this node gets hit within a single conversation, which is pretty cool, because that gives it sort of that, again, human-like capacity. You're not going to repeat yourself word for word the second time you want to say a phrase that carries the same meaning as you did the first time. So by the same token, we want Dasha to be able to do the same thing. And you could also randomize, which is also pretty cool. So there you go. So you can have like random text. You can have Dasha say random text to the user. Um, Same meaning, various ways of conveying it. So that's just what I wanted to show you. So let's run a quick test of this conversation. Oh, a couple more things. So like I mentioned, this particular app is it runs in your browser. So we need some front-end code here. We've got an HTML file, a JavaScript file, and a cascading style sheets file. Um, and of course, this is all launched from the server side JavaScript. So we basically deploy a server which runs this front-end code, which is literally just one button. And upon clicking that button, we connect to this Dasha app from the web client, and this Dasha app and the connection to the Dasha Cloud platform is established. So to run this, once you've got it downloaded, first thing you'll need to do is run npm install. Um, I've run it already. See, I've got this folder called node modules that's generated when you npmi with the Dasha app. But I'm running it just for the sake of showing you. And next we run npm start. So this will deploy a server on local host. We could tunnel to it and have it up on the internet. I mean, if you're like building, I don't know, a demo and you want to show it to someone, you probably would want to use something like ngrok to set up a tunnel, a web tunnel to your local host. Or you might want to just deploy on Heroku or something like that. Right, so let's see here. I just want to show you this, by the way. So localhost is launched, and then you've got the you've got your index. So you've got your application, your server-side application connecting to the Dasha Cloud server, and does a number of things. So it prepares the natural language generation, prepares the natural language understanding. We've gone over the data JSON, so this is where the model is training. It's showing 100% the whole time because nothing has been changed in the data set, so it's already been trained. If you change something in the data set, be prepared to wait for like maybe 30 seconds or a minute for the neural network to train. All right, we are connected. Let's have a conversation.
Thank you for visiting the Acme Rockets and Supplies website. I'm your artificially intelligent agent Dasha. How can I help you today?
Hi there. What's the status of my Rockets application?
Good. To tell your Acme Rockets application status, I need to confirm your identity. It seems that you are logged in as Mr. Wali Coyote. Can you please confirm the answer to the secret question? What is your favorite fruit?
My favorite fruit is strawberry.
I'm sorry, but your identity is not confirmed. Let's try again. What is your favorite fruit?
My favorite fruit is coconut.
I'm sorry, but your identity is not confirmed. Let's try again. What is your favorite fruit?
My favorite fruit is Roadrunner. How could I forget?
Great, identity confirmed. Let me just check your status. Congratulations, Mr. Coyote. Your application is approved. You can now buy anything you like at the Desert Acme shop by the Big Cactus. Anything else I can help you with today?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you and happy trails.
Bye. Okay, and that's that. So have at it. Have at it. Like build a Dasha interface, plug it into a web application that you've got built with Node.js. This is the future of interfaces. So let us know. In the descriptions below, I'll have all the relevant links and a link to the Dasha community. It's our Slack channel. Please join, and we'll be happy to help you any which way we can. We're also starting. So today is November 19th. Starting next week, we're doing weekly, kind of laid back week-long hackathons, and the prizes are, so the prize for the first week is MacBook M1, MacBook Air M1, and that's probably going to be the prize for the foreseeable future on a weekly basis. So join and build something amazing. The most amazing app gets the coder who created the most amazing app gets to win a MacBook Air M1. Not a bad deal, I'd say, for a few days of work. All right, well, thanks everybody. I hope this was informative. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the Dasha community. Peace.